I cried so much that day. Just listen to the music. I remember I sat, I stood, I rested my head on the stereo, and I just cried like a baby. And that was therapy for me. And I said, oh my God, that was a talented young man to put those words together. And he had a beautiful voice. I love his voice and the way he came off. You know, I appreciated him as an artist and as my son.
Before her passing, Ms. Voletta Wallace carried a lifetime of grief and a mountain of unanswered questions about the tragic loss of her only son, Biggie. They say time heals all wounds, but how do you heal from losing your child, especially when there are whispers that those closest to him may have played a role in his death? And yes, when I say closest, I'm talking about Diddy, allegedly. There are claims he even tried to silence Voletta more than once, afraid she was getting too close to uncovering the truth.
Big was showing me a contract because I was saying to Big, Big was like, yo, Gene, I like you, I would take you with me, bruh, but you love that too much. I said, love that much? What the fuck you? I love it too much. He said, yeah, you love him too much, bruh. I would take you with me. I said, nigga, how you gonna take me with you and you broke? He said, I'm broke. I said, yeah, broke, man. You owe Mike Gadget $30,000 for the system and them drop boxes he put in your truck. And he was like, yo, how you know that? I said, talk and run their mouth, Big. Yo, he said, oh. He said, but I'm about to get this money. So he showed me, I said, you about to get that money? He said, yeah, look at this. It had Charlie Baltimore, Cameron, Little C's, Little Kim, Junior Mafia, Tracy, I don't know, Tracy Murray?
Tracy Lee.
Tracy Lee, and the commission. And I think the contract was for so many years for like 62 million, it comes out to like $62 million. I was like, that's what I said. I'm like, damn.
But we all know Mama Wallace wasn't the type to be silenced, especially when it came to her son. And behind the scenes, aside from Diddy, there was someone else she reportedly never fully trusted, Faith Evans.
You married Biggie when you wanted Tupac. That's hilarious. You wanted Grammys, but you settled for ghostwriting for a whore like Mary J. Blige. That's hilarious.
Before she passed, Ms. Voletta Wallace lived with a pain no mother should endure, the loss of her only son, Christopher Wallace, known to the world as Biggie Smalls. They say time heals all wounds, but how do you ever truly heal from something so devastating, especially when the people who were closest to him might have played a role in his death? And yes, when we talk about those people, Diddy's name comes up, allegedly. There are even claims that Diddy tried to silence Voletta more than once because she was getting too close to the truth. But let's be clear, Mama Wallace was never the kind of woman to be silenced, especially when it came to her son. And behind the scenes, it wasn't just Diddy she reportedly had doubts about. Faith Evans was another person she allegedly never fully trusted. With new details of the ongoing trial emerging every day, word on the street is that we may finally be inching towards some kind of closure, toward the truth of what really happened to Biggie and how Diddy and Faith might have been involved. Sadly, Voletta Wallace won't be here to see that day, but even so, uncovering the truth would still mean something. It would honor her relentless fight. One thing that's become increasingly clear over the years is that Biggie was planning to leave Bad Boy Records, and Diddy wasn't going to let that happen without a fight. In fact, a Rolling Stone expose on Diddy revealed that Biggie and Diddy were never truly on good terms. Several insiders claimed that Diddy pressured Bad Boy employees to focus on marketing Biggie's posthumous album Life After Death, rather than grieving the artist's loss. It was all business, cold, calculated, and profit-driven. It's been said that Diddy still tried to hog the spotlight even after Biggie's death. According to Kirk Burrows, former Bad Boy Entertainment executive, Rolling Stone approached the label about a cover story to honor Biggie's legacy. Kirk claimed he urged Diddy to let Biggie have the moment, telling him, "Let's make it Biggie. You'll still have a chance for a cover in the future." But Diddy allegedly responded, "No, he's dead. I'm putting out No Way Out in July. I need to be on the cover." And that's exactly what happened. In 1997, Rolling Stone published a cover story titled Puff Daddy, the New King of Hip Hop. 2 years later, in another interview with the magazine, Diddy even admitted that Biggie's death catapulted his fame and success. He said, "I think his passing added to the fame." Reportedly, about 2 million of the nearly 5 million copies of No Way Out sold were due to the aftermath of Biggie's death. It's a chilling thought, one that speaks volumes. Kirk Burroughs also claimed that Diddy harbored jealousy over Biggie's past friendship with Tupac. Before their infamous feud, Biggie and Pac were close, and that bond allegedly irked Diddy. Diddy reportedly wanted that same connection with Tupac, but Pac didn't respect him. It's even believed that Diddy may have pushed Biggie to escalate the beef. One telling example is the release of Who Shot Ya in 1995, a track widely interpreted as a jab at Tupac, even though Biggie maintained it wasn't. According to some sources, including Voletta Wallace herself, Biggie and Tupac truly cared for each other. The feud, as she reportedly saw it, was manufactured and manipulated. In her 2005 book Biggie, Voletta Wallace remembers her son, Christopher. She wrote, "The truth is, Christopher accepted the illusion of a friend and mentor for about $25,000. That was the amount Puffy lured my son with. That was a lot of money for Christopher back then. As a 19-year-old, he had never seen that much at one time in his life. It was enough money to make my son believe Puffy would do anything for him. It was enough to buy a blind love and loyalty." Voletta never shied away from expressing her belief that a larger cover-up was at play. In a Daily Mail exclusive, she opened up about the pain her family still felt. "It hurts me every single day to know what happened to Christopher and that I won't see him ever again," she said. "It's not just me. His sister, Tiana, hurts every day because of his loss. As a family, we've collectively grieved, and it doesn't ever get any better for us." She continued, "Any mother who has lost a child knows exactly the devastation I feel. It's the worst pain in the world, and one that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. He was so young, so talented, and his life was taken far too soon. It's unnecessary that Christopher lost his life at just 24. He was my baby, and I think about him every day." Voletta was convinced that the LAPD knew exactly who was responsible for her son's murder, but a conspiracy prevented the truth from surfacing. "They've done their investigation, but they just refuse to move forward," she said. "I don't know why they haven't arrested the person or people involved. It seems to me like one giant conspiracy. Someone is definitely being protected." In her words, "I have a very good idea who killed Christopher, and I genuinely believe the LAPD does too. There's no closure for me until that person is behind bars. That might give me something to hold on to, but it won't ever bring my son back." Voletta also played a key role in the film City of Lies, which exposed the corruption and suppression of the investigation. She said she participated not only to honor Biggie's music, but also to support the late LAPD detective Russell Poole, who died while pursuing the truth. About Russell, she said, "I hope and pray the truth will expose them individually." Russell died exposing them. He was a man of his word. His wife said he died of a broken heart because he didn't see justice. All he saw was corruption and lies. In another interview with Entertainment Weekly, Voletta said, "As long as I have life, there's hope. I'll never give up. And I hope when I'm no longer here, my family and friends will carry on the fight. There is always hope." Even though she never named names directly, it was clear who she believed was involved. The general assumption has always lingered that Diddy had something to do with it. Voletta wasn't oblivious to the rumors. She heard the whispers, saw the headlines, and understood that many believed Biggie was trying to reclaim his rights and leave Bad Boy, and that someone didn't want to let him go. Was Biggie's death the result of a feud gone too far, a music empire's desperate grasp for power, or something even more sinister? Whatever the truth is, Voletta Wallace never stopped seeking it. And while she may no longer be here to see justice served, her voice, her words, and her fight live on. If there's any justice in this world, that truth will finally come to light.
My whole thing about it is that it was somebody in our crew They wanted them to know that Big was in that vehicle. And to separate it, that's where you get there was more than one people trying to kill us. You understand?
You're right.
That's where you get that at, brother. That there was more than one, different people was trying to kill us. Because somebody wanted to know, yo, if y'all gonna get big, here go the car with the stickers on it.
But you know what? This goes even deeper, because Diddy clearly wasn't acting alone. The growing assumption is that Faith Evans knew exactly what happened to Biggie, and that's why she's been out here defending Diddy whenever questions about Biggie's death come up.
What I know is that Puff would never have Big. Puff would never be involved in one of his best friends. That's outside of him being his artist. You know what I'm saying? That was like, their relationship was something that I don't have that relationship with Puff. So, that's never been something that I...
Of course, it sounds unbelievable that Faith Evans would claim Biggie and Diddy were basically best friends, especially when nearly everyone else close to the situation says otherwise. It really makes you wonder, what does Faith actually know? Jaguar Wright has been one of the loudest voices calling Faith out, labeling her as one of the biggest snakes in Biggie's life. According to Jaguar, Faith wasn't nearly as in love with Biggie as she portrayed. In fact, she claims Faith actually wanted Tupac, not Biggie. Jaguar even went as far as to say that Faith was romantically involved with both Biggie and Tupac at the same time and didn't know who fathered her child. She alleges that two Death Row insiders actually caught Tupac and Faith together in the studio and even took compromising photos of them getting intimate in the booth. Now imagine being Biggie's mother, Voletta Wallace, watching all this unfold. It must have been absolutely heartbreaking. Jaguar also believes that Mama Wallace would have much preferred Lil' Kim as a daughter-in-law because she allegedly saw through Faith's actions and suspected she was working against her son all along. Now, whether Voletta ever directly confronted Faith remains unclear, but what is certain is that she believed her son was murdered. And if it's true that Diddy tried to silence her, and that's why she couldn't say his name publicly, then this situation is even darker than we ever realized. It's possible more of this may come to light in the upcoming trial. But until then, let me know your thoughts in the comments below.